it play and call it work.
Hey everybody, Matthew here from MiniWarGaming.com with Quirk, Dave, and Steve, and welcome to Augustine Station, a Deathwatch campaign. Now, it's very rare that you get like Dave and I in a battle report together, and yet this entire narrative campaign is going to feature all four of us. I'm going to be the games master, and Quirk, Dave, and Steve have each made a 5-man Deathwatch squad. We're going to go into all the details. This very first video is going to take a while just to explain the story, and we're going to go over the squads. We're going to roll for some of their random traits. I'm going to talk a bit about the rules and just everything. So this first video is all going to be based on that, and then the second video, which will be in the vault, will be the first scenario that we play. And then we're going to be playing a lot of these Deathwatch kill team missions to see if they can complete the quest that they are sent on, which I'll explain in a moment. And so let's just jump right into it. Let's take a look at the characters. Let's talk about the story and everything else. But think of this more like a role-playing game than a war game. It's totally going to be played out using Warhammer 40k rules, using the Heralds of Ruin kill team rules. So you can check that out. We'll put a link in the video description. Or you can just Google search Heralds of Ruin kill team. They've done a lot of work to make kill team really interesting. And we're going to be using a lot of the rules, not all of them. We're going to be customizing tons of stuff. And we're going to see if these guys can actually work together and not stab each other in the back. And yet, it's still a bit of competition because whoever, when you win at the end, hopefully, whoever has managed to upgrade their guys the most is declared the champion, even though everybody technically wins. But really, we know that there's only really one winner ever in any of these things. So let's jump right into it. Let's take a look at the story, the scenario, the rules, and everything else. And I hope that you enjoy this Deathwatch campaign.
In this campaign, each person has a 5-man Deathwatch squad who can change over the course of the campaign in a few ways. They gain experience and actually level up, gaining new traits. They can also die and get replaced by new guys who are only level 1. And they can also find new war gear, which they equip with their guys. But we have a strict WYSIWYG rule, which means anything that we want to do, we have to show. Now, when I say strict, sometimes we're going to play 2 missions in one day. And so between the 2 missions, oh yes, and they're all magnetizable. Lee made these ones. This is Dave's Deathwatch squad. If we played 2 missions in one day, we might not have time in between missions to WYSIWYG it, but then between the missions after that, we will work to actually model the new weapons that they do have. And because they're Deathwatch, they could even be carrying Xenos weapons, because they like to use Xenos weapons, because they're part of the Ordo Xenos. So they hunt Xenos, but they use Xenos to kill Xenos. Makes total sense. Every squad has 1 leader, and these follow mainly the stats that you would see in the Space Marine book, except for a couple notable things. One is that, well, as you can see, the squad doesn't make sense. You can't have a squad looking like this. But since it's kill team, they all operate independently. But they also have more wounds. The base guy has 3 wounds, and the leader has 4. And even if you upgrade a guy to the leader later on, he doesn't gain those 4. It's just the initial guy only. So let's walk through Dave's Deathwatch. Now I'm just going to point out first that Lee is the one that crafted these, and Steve and Quirk crafted theirs as well. So Lee did a great job making all of these guys. And I'm going to post the rules for these. If you go to miniwargaming.com/Deathwatch, I'm going to post the rules that we are using for this campaign so you can use it yourself, and so that you can always follow along as well. So Dave, why don't you walk us through the names? That's right, we've named each individual guy, what chapter he's from, and what basic rules he has because of that.
So my leader is Kordakios. He is an ultramarine, so he'll be having the combat doctrine rule that goes with him, and he has Zealot as well because he is a chaplain. He is armed with a Combi Flamer and a Crozius Arcanum. And take note of the first letter in each of the names of my guys, because it spells a very special word, which we'll figure out at the very end. Moving on, second guy, he's an apothecary. His name is Horak. He is a blood angel. He's got Feel No Pain and Furious Charge, and he has +1 initiative when he charges. Now I will note as well that my leader has an extra wound. I think Matt already said that, but just to make him a little bit stronger. And his save is 2 up, 4 up. Back to the apothecary Horak. He's equipped with a chainsword and a bolt pistol. So, good in close combat, kind of basic, but he adds a nice feel no pain bubble to everyone around him.
Now, I should talk about the bubbles for a second. The Zealot and Feel No Pain are the ones that we're going to see mostly. And normally they give it to the squad that they're part of, but because we're playing Kill Team, each guy is their own squad. So we replace the effects of squad to having an aura. And these auras are 6 inches wide. So the Chaplain gives Zealot to any friendly model within 6 inches. And the Apothecary gives Feel No Pain to anybody within 6 inches as well. And that goes for the other Deathwatch squads as well. Like if they're within 6 inches, they'll gain the benefit because they are all Battle Brothers.
Moving on to the Iron Hand. Arakiel is my Terminator there. He has +1 Feel No Pain and It Will Not Die special rule. He's equipped with an Assault Cannon and a Chain Fist. Next we have Olbesk. He's my Dark Angel. He is stubborn and he overwatches at Ballista skill 2. So that's excellent with a plasma gun. He also has a bolt pistol in addition to that. And last but not least is Steelmane. He is my Space Wolf. He's got counterattack, night vision, acute senses, but that won't come into play in this campaign, so just kind of forget about that one.
Just the acute senses one, yeah.
Right, just the acute sense. And then he's got a missile launcher and a bolt pistol. And zooming out to all 5, if you caught the acronym, starting with Kordakios, Horak, Arakiel, Olbesk, Steelmane, that spells chaos. And this is my Deathwatch Chaos team.
I should point out that even though they're not all Stern Guard, they all have access to the special ammunition that the Stern Guard normally have. It only works for bolters and bolt pistols, but it does give them a little extra oomph if they need to. And what we're going to do in this video as well is they all start at level 1, but even at level 1 they gain a trait. Now we have a trait chart, which you can see when you download the rules. You roll a D6-6, and you reference a chart. Most of them are just universal special rules, but then there are some special ones as well, especially if you roll 61 to 66, and if you're a special guy like Lexicanum Chaplain or an Apothecary, then you have your own table as well. So you're going to roll for each guy, starting with your Chaplain, but before you roll your D66, you roll a single D6, and if you roll a 6, you actually gain 2 attributes instead of just 1. And if you roll a 6, you can choose to, instead of getting 2 attributes, exchanging one of those to add +1 to any of your stats, any of them. But you can only upgrade 1 stat once per character ever. So roll a single dice. If you roll a 6, no. So now roll a D66. Which one's your first one?
Start with the white.
White one, okay. So 31, your Chaplain has Infiltrate.
Okay.
That's actually kind of useful, so write that down. Apothecary, single D6 first. So re-roll that. Nope, just 1 attribute, and then your white is your first one. So 13 is Counterattack. Now, if you already have the attribute, whether you rolled for it before or it comes because of some other reason, then we will re-roll it. And Arakiel, the Terminator, that's cocked. Do it again. All right, so he just gets 1 attribute, which is 46. He gains Stealth. A stealthy Terminator. Who would have thunk it? Olbesk, just 1 attribute, and 66 would be 26. That gives him Hit and Run. And finally, Steelmane, does he get 1 or 2? Only 1, man. He only rolled a...
That's cocked.
That's cocked, okay. I'll let you re-roll it. Okay, still only 1. So D66, 31, that gives him also Infiltrate. Wow, 2 of your guys in your squad have Infiltrate. Next, we're going to look at Steve's Deathwatch squad. So Steve, why don't you walk us through... And I just want to point out that Steve made these models. So good job, Steve.
Thank you.
And so why don't you walk us through each of your guys, and then we'll do the rolls.
My librarian there is a Lexicanum. He's a level 2 librarian named Strago. He's a Blood Angel, so getting Furious Charge and +1 initiative on the charge.
Let's just point out, because it's come up twice now, that +1 initiative on the charge, I made that up for Blood Angels. So I kind of took the chapter tactics and modified them a bit just to make them either better or just make more sense for what we're doing. So normally they don't get that as a Blood Angel.
He just has himself a Force Sword and a pistol. Next over, I have Sabin. He is a Raven Guard Vanguard veteran with a jump pack and 2 lightning claws. He gets to use his jump pack in the movement phase and the assault phase, and rerolls Hammer of Wrath. Next over, we have Amaro. He is a Black Templar Terminator with a lightning hammer and storm shield. Thunder Hammer. Lightning hammer?
Thunder Hammer.
Black Templar giving him Crusader and Adamantium Will.
Now he's not a big fan of Strago, but He was assigned to the squad, so he had to go there.
Just goes where he's told.
Because Black Templar don't really like librarians that much.
Next over, I have a Locked by White Scar. He has himself a heavy bolter, and his special abilities will be Hit and Run and Crusader. Lastly, I have Gal, my Space Wolf. Just a combi flamer, counterattack, acute senses, and night vision.
Very nice. Now let's do some rolling, starting with the psychic powers for your Lexicanum. You're rolling on Biomancy?
Yep.
So 1 and 2, that is Iron Arm and Enfeeble. Now, we made a special rule that in this campaign, when you roll psychic powers, after you've rolled all of them, that you can choose to re-roll any of them one at a time, up to including all of them. So do you want to re-roll either of those? Iron Arm and Enfeeble. So you're going to keep them both?
I'm going to keep both those powers.
All right.
And I'll get the Primaris and my Force.
So you got Smite, Iron Arm, and Enfeeble, and Force. And now we'll roll the upgrades, starting with the Librarian. How many does he get? A 6, he gets 2. And no 6s yet. And then you're looking at the white being the first one. Okay, go ahead. 61. That is on a special table for the Lexicanum, which gives him +1 mastery level, instantly allowing you to generate another psychic power.
Score?
So you want to stay on Biomancy so you don't lose psychic focus? Yep. All right, go ahead. You already have that one. You already have that one. 4. Warp Speed. Holy cow. You don't get to reroll this one, I'm sorry.
Okay, good enough.
Your Vanguard, does he get 1 or 2? Oh, he gets 2! Do you want to roll 2 attributes, or do you want to up one of his stats?
I think I'm gonna up his stat.
Which one?
Let's give him +1 strength.
So he's strength 5. And attribute 45, which is Sniper.
Oh, great.
Which is Lightning Claws.
Great.
We can always, later on, you might find a weapon, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I'll give it to the guy who has Sniper.
And +1 strength.
And +1 strength, yeah.
well.
Good combo.
Oh, well.
Hey, you know what? +1 mastery level on your
We're good,
Sniper.
I'm
I think you're good. Next up, your Terminator.
Amaro.
Oh, and he gets 2!
He's getting +1 toughness.
So he's toughness 5, Terminator with 2+3+. And then what's the other one? 41, which gives him Rage!
Beautiful.
Holy cow!
Lock the White Scar. Here's another 6.
No, so he only gets 1. I know, it's such a disappointing thing. And he gets 51, which gives him Stubborn.
Stubborn, no good.
That's not bad. Not that great, but not bad. And lastly, what's his name?
Gal the Space Wolf.
Only 1. Gal the Space Wolf, that's his name. That's great. Oh, that's double 1 is one of the best things to roll, because you get to re-roll, but first you get to set one of the dice. So I'll let you look at the table and then let you set the dice.
I'm going to set the first die to a 5.
Yeah, there's a few special ones in there. 53 Zealot. Well, you don't have a chaplain nearby, so maybe. So Zealot's not bad. I should point out that's not a Zealot aura, even though normally Zealot would apply to the whole squad. It's only the chaplain that gets to do the aura. But he individually has Zealot. It's not bad. Rolled 2 6s out of 5. Dave didn't get any.
But I called it. I said that he would get 2 6s.
So that's kind of a bonus experience for that.
Yeah. And thank you for saying I didn't get any.
I know.
Because that makes me feel wonderful about his abilities that he got.
It's great. It's great. Quirk, it's your turn.
Librarian.
Next up, we've got Quirk Squad being led by a champion. Why don't you walk us through the names of each of your guys and what they are?
Sure thing. So my champion's name is Dante, and he's from the Iron Hands.
I should point out that the champion not only has 4 wounds, but he gets to start with either Artificer Armor, Terminator Armor, or the Jump Pack, and you chose Artificer Armor.
Yes, I did.
And he starts at level 2. And so he gets a buff. The Chaplain and the Lexicanum as the leaders have their own thing, the Zealot and being a Psyker. And his big thing is just being more of a beast by starting at level 2.
Mm-hmm. And what I've equipped him with is a Power Fist and a Plasma Pistol. So hopefully those come in handy.
Oh, and he also has Tough.
That's true. He does have Tough.
Yeah, Tough is a new thing, and it just helps with, you'll see later on that there's a character death table and also a damage table, and he gets some bonuses on that. And so he kind of starts like at level 3 because he starts off with an extra attribute on top of that. So very, very strong character.
Hopefully he won't die.
Yeah.
Please.
First turn, insta-kill.
No.
Yeah, we'll be done.
Next to him is my Ultramarine Virgil. He's the Lexicanum. Is that?
Yeah,
yeah.
Lexicanum,
Okay.
yeah.
He has a Force Staff and a Storm Bolter.
And he's a Ultramarine.
He's an Ultramarine, so he has the bubble of combat doctrines that he can give out.
I should point out that the combat doctrines, the way it works is at the beginning of that player's turn, they can use one of the 3 combat doctrines, and any friendlies within 6 inches, if they pass a leadership test, get to use it as well, even though they're not an Ultramarine. So it makes them a good kind of buffer of people around them.
Mm-hmm. Next to that, I have Warden the Apothecary. He is a black shield, which gives him fear and fearless. And he has his, the repair arm, I can't ever pronounce.
Narthecium?
That's the one I can't pronounce. And he also has a bolt pistol.
Yeah, so he's got a close combat weapon and a bolt pistol.
Yep.
And the black shields, if you're not familiar with what those are, they are basically Space Marines who have taken away any allegiance, and they show up to the Deathwatch with their any insignia removed, saying, "I want to fight for the Deathwatch." And they're, maybe they have a questionable path, maybe they did something bad and they're trying to make up for it, but the Deathwatch doesn't ask questions, just lets them fight.
Next to Warden, I have Prometheus, the Salamanders, equipped with a heavy flamer. So just all kinds of appropriate there.
And he gets to reroll because he's a salamander.
That's true.
Flamers, yeah.
So that should be fun. And lastly, we have Kratos, the Imperial Fist. He has a Stormbolter. And with Imperial Fist, he has Bolter Drill as a special rule, so he gets to reroll, I think.
Reroll ones, I
Yep.
think, when shooting bolters.
Yep. So hopefully he gets to find some extra bolter weapons there.
Yeah, he'll be the one good at that. So let's start rolling for your squad. The psychic powers, what do you want to roll on?
I'm going to roll on Divination.
So you're only level 1, so you get 1 roll.
Oop.
Oh,
That is,
why don't you reroll that?
yeah.
3, which gives you perfect timing. So that's ignore cover to you and everybody else within 3 inches when you first cast it. Now you can reroll this because of our special rules.
Yep.
Do you want to keep perfect timing or do you want to reroll?
I think I want to keep perfect timing.
Okay. And now we will roll for attributes. The champion gets to do it twice. So why don't you roll first off to see for his first level up.
Okay.
Rolls a 4, so you only get 1 attribute. So go ahead and roll on the table. The white is the 1, or the, whatever, the 10s and the 1s. 45. That is Sniper.
Sweet.
Not bad. He's got a plasma pistol. Sniper plasma pistol. And then his second level rolls a 6.
Yes!
What did you want to give him +1?
Oh.
Toughness, because he's already tough and feel no pain and it will not die? Or do you want to go for attacks? Or ballistic skill for his plasma pistol?
Oh, he could... Yeah, I think I might do... can I think about this?
Yeah,
Okay.
of course you can.
So I decided I'm going to go with +1 toughness just to make him that much more difficult to kill.
All right. And his second attribute. Oh, we got a 61. I got really excited there for a second, but the champion doesn't have his own special table. But if you roll 60-something and you don't have a special table, it counts as a double 1.
Oh.
So you get to re-roll and set one of the dice.
Okay.
So you're setting the first one to 2.
Yep.
Hoping to roll a 1 to get feel no pain.
Oh.
22. Fleet. That's not bad.
I'll take it.
Fleet and Heralds of Ruin gives you plus D3 inches to any running you do as well because you automatically run your 6 inches. Hey, Lexicanum, how many attributes?
Don't I not get to roll again because he's level 2?
You already did 2.
I did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got Sniper, remember?
Right, I forgot.
So Lexicanum. Only 1 attribute.
Okay.
And what do you roll? You roll 60-something, then... No. 36 is Preferred Enemy.
Ooh.
That's nice. Your Apothecary, how many attributes? Just 1, which is 26 Hit and Run, which he does not already have.
Nope.
And then Prometheus, how many? Just 1.
Oh.
That's so disappointing when you just get the 1.
I know, it's not like I'm Steve or anything.
Yeah. 63, so that counts as a double 1.
All right.
And so you get to choose 1. Set the first one to 5 because the 5 cluster is pretty nice. 54, that's tough.
Nice.
Salamander who's tough. And lastly, what's the last guy's name?
Kratos. I can't spell.
That's right. Oh, it's just, I guess a 1 is just as good as a 5.
Yeah.
I see a 1 though, I'm like, oh, that's so bad. 54, he's tough.
Woohoo!
You got 3 tough guys in your squad. So not a bad squad, 3 of them with tough. That is, well, no pun intended, that's going to be tough to kill them.
Good job, Quirk.
Yay.
Now that we've worked out all the special traits of their squads, for better or for worse, whether it's Sniper Lightning Claws, or just poor Dave who didn't roll a single 6, it's okay. We're still going to get upgraded more. I want to talk about the story. So this is going to kind of set the setting for this whole campaign, and then as we go along, it's just going to be like a GM session where I set up each scenario actually in that scenario. So I'm not going to talk about the first scenario here. I'm going to talk more about the overall story that is going on. So obviously we know this is Deathwatch related. If you're not familiar with the Deathwatch are the military arm of the Ordos Xenos of the Inquisition. Ordos Xenos, of course, is the arm of the Inquisition that takes care of hunting down Xenos, which is any aliens. So not Chaos, not Psychers necessarily, but aliens. And often they're hunting amongst their own populations to root out any Gene Stealer cults or Eldar or Dark Eldar, Tau, whatever, and trying to make sure that the population's not allying with them or anything like that. Or they might be sent out to more outlying areas, like the one in this campaign. And of course it's run by the Inquisition, but the Deathwatch are sent in when they need a kill squad. So rather than an entire army going in, they want something more surgical, as is the case as is needed for this campaign. This is set in the Chandera system, which is not part of the Imperium. It is pretty far off in the Eastern Fringe, and it is outside of Imperium rule. And not that the Imperium wouldn't be able to go in there with enough ships, it's just so far away that it's not worth their time. On top of it, on Chandera 7, the planet is actually called Augustine. This is a death world. Now it's a pretty nasty death world. A lot of death worlds people live on, but Augustine, you don't live on it. It is just so full of carnivorous fauna and flora and all sorts of natural hazards and disasters that nobody sets up camp on Augustine. But it is a perfect world if you are hunting creatures that you want to bring into, let's say, gladiatorial pits, or it's a perfect place to send your prisoners. Orbiting Augustine is Augustine Station. This is a huge space station. It houses over 100 million people and tons of different Xenos races. I'm trying to think of various things you can compare it to, but if you just think of almost any movie or book where there's this place that you can go to that's just full of bad guys, that has a huge black market, that is run by the mafia, essentially this is that place. It's that quintessential bad place to go. But good guys go there either to hunt down bad guys or to get information, or maybe even they're interested in the black market. In fact, the real reason the Augustine Station hasn't been destroyed by the Imperium is not because it is surrounded by an Orc pirate fleet, or a Dark Eldar Corsair fleet, or an Eldar Corsair fleet, no, Dark Eldar, sorry, got that wrong, or some Tau ships, or it has bristling cannons that make it actually quite defendable, and its own fleet of ships. None of those would really stop the Imperium because they could just bring more firepower. What really stops it is that the Inquisition has time and time again found this station useful for finding out information and also for hunting down Xenos artifacts. Because the person who runs this station, his name is Governor, gotta remember it, Artyeg Liadova. He is the mafiaest of mafia guys. And he is obsessed with collecting Xenos artifacts. He's boasted that he's got one of the best Xenos artifact collections, maybe even rivaling Trazing the Infinite's collection as well. And it's even been known for Trazing, or at least one of his host bodies, to show up at the station to do a trade with Liadova when he has like an extra Primarch and he wants to trade because he's got a duplicate. Then he goes to Liadova and he'll most likely have something worth his time. So Liadova has made this a center of places for all sorts of Xenos species, not just ones that we're familiar with like Eldar, Dark Eldar, Tau, Orcs, but also many other smaller subspecies frequent this place as well. And he's amassed a big collection. Now, that would be enough for the Ordo Xenos to want to go in and take everything, but like I said, they find it so useful that they usually leave it alone. However, rumors have come to the Inquisition that a certain Xenos artifact that's called the Jewel of Ymir has somehow found its way into the hands of Liadova. Now, the Deathwatch team has been sent to investigate, find out where this artifact is, because it's not like he just has one vault full of all his artifacts. He's got them spread throughout the entire station, and there's just so many different areas that it could be in. They need to hunt it down, and they need to bring it back. Now, the Deathwatch guys have not actually been told what this thing does. All they know is that it's some sort of jewelry, that's some sort of pendant that they need to find and bring back. And they don't ask questions. They're just the military arm. They're not supposed to be thinking too hard, except for maybe the Lex Cannons when they're trying to use the warp. And so they're sent in to investigate. And so this campaign is going to be a series of scenarios where they're trying to hunt down where this happens to be. And it's going to bring them to all sorts of parts of the station as they try to find it. And the fun thing is, because they're Ordo Xenos, they're allowed to use Xenos artifacts. And so throughout the campaign, they're going to find artifacts as well, and war gear and weaponry. And they are allowed to use them. We even have an entire random item creation chart, which you can see. Go to miniwargaming.com/deathwatch, and you can download all the rules that we're using. And you could use them however you want and modify them. I don't care. It's totally unofficial anyway. It's just a fan-made rule base. And you can see how we're generating those weapons. And so they can find totally useless stuff, or they can find incredibly powerful stuff as well. And because they're allowed to use them, they just have to equip them on their guys, model it on the models, and they can continue to hold on to them. Or they can trade them back in and gain some extra experience, or they can negotiate amongst themselves when one finds it and maybe he wants to negotiate with somebody else. I have a funny feeling negotiations are going to be tough between these guys, but we'll see. So that is our setting. You're going on in, investigations will bring you to different parts of the station, and I'll set up the first scenario, which is all set up right here in our next video. So before we finish, you guys have any questions? No? Yeah. And I apologize if you guys have questions about what's going on. We're going to be filming a few of these before the first one even comes out. And so by the time we actually get to your comments, if you have suggestions on what we would change right away, it might not be seen till later in the campaign, in which we might make adjustments according to some ideas that you do have. But we'd love to hear any comments or ideas or just what you think overall of what is going on. So our next video is going to be in the MiniWarGaming Vault at the link below. It's going to be our first scenario where I'm going to introduce the story of what gets them there. And then you're going to see these guys duke it out against the scenario that I put. Not against me, technically. I'm just a games master. I just place the guys and roll the dice for them. And we'll just see how they fare. See if they get to upgrade their guys, see if they die, see what kind of gear they find, and how the story advances. So go ahead and click the link below. If you're not a Vault member, remember, you can click the link. It'll offer you a free 7-day trial. Get instant access to this part of the campaign as well as thousands of other videos, and help support us so we can continue making more of these things. Like I said, it's not very often you see all 4 of us in the video together because it's a little more expensive to create it that way, as you can imagine. But I think it'll be worth it because we're all pretty excited for this. So click the link below. Thanks for watching. Happy wargaming.